Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi Maseches TEMURAH Daf Ches. We begin right on top of the Amud with a kasha on Rav Nachman, told us yesterday, regarding a bechor. So a fellow has a firstborn kosher animal. He's meant to give it to the kohen. Now, if it's a tam, whole, complete, unblemished, the kohen takes it, offers it as a korban in the Beis Hamikdash, and he takes the flesh for himself. If it is a baal mum, if it gets a blemish, and he shechts it anywhere for his to keep. Says Rav Nachman, although it belongs to the kohen, but when there was a Beis Hamikdash standing, since the bechor was slated for hakrava on the mizbeach, it's similar to any other korban. In which case, the kohen is not really considered like an owner. It's not like his possession. It's not like his belonging. He can't sell it. He can't sell a korban. The only time we find in Mishnayos that a bechor can be sold, a bechor tam can be sold, that's only nowadays, when there is no Beis Hamikdash. In which case it's not intended for hakrava. So now the kohen has complete ownership on this bechor. He's awaiting the arrival of a blemish so he can shecht it in his backyard, in which case he's completely the owner and he can sell it. So according to Rav Nachman, the only time a kohen can sell a bechor is either when there was a Beis Hamikdash and the bechor is blemished, not intended for hakrava, or nowadays, where in any case it's not intended for hakrava. But if it's a bechor tam, bizman shebeis hamikdash kayim, a kohen cannot sell that. It's not really his belonging. It's not his possession. It's meant for a korban. Esvei. Here comes another kasha that Rava posed to Rav Nachman. Really? A kohen may not sell a bechor tam bizman beis hamikdash? We have a brais. But bechor nemar lo tifte. So regarding a bechor, the pasuk says it can't be, redeemed, but it could be sold. V'nimkarhu. End quote. What kind of bechor are we talking about? When? When are we speaking? Nowadays? When there was a Beis Hamikdash? What are we talking about? We're speaking nowadays. How could that be so? Amos Sefer. Take a look at the second part of that pasuk that you've just begun to quote. Lo tiften, and the pasuk continues. As damam tizroik, right? As damam tizroik al mizbeach. You offer it as a korban. Clearly, we're speaking. There is a Beis Hamikdash standing. Bizman hazeh miyikum mizbeach. Nowadays, do we have a mizbeach? Ela pshita bizman shebeis hamikdash kai. So clearly, that pasuk and subsequently the brisa, which quotes the pasuk, is discussing when there was a Beis Hamikdash standing. Okay, so what kind of bechor are we talking about? In what condition is he? Is he whole? Is he blemished? We're speaking about a blemished bechor. Well, then the second part of the pasuk won't align. Offer the blood, offer the chelev. If it's blemished, is he suitable for akrava? Of course not. So it must be that we're speaking about a whole, unblemished bechor. Uktani nimkarhu. And the Brisa tells you can sell it. And this is in contrast to Rav Nachman, that a bechor tam cannot be sold when there was a Beis Hamikdash. It's a korban. So Rav Nachman will respond. He says, "Midi area. What's the proof?" Meaning, two parts of the pasuk. Each part speaks about a different scenario. Who says both parts of the pasuk address the same story? Reisha bebalmum. You're right, the first part of the pasuk. Lo sifta, which says, well, you could sell bebalmum, blemished bechor, which is not slated for a korban, sefer batam. Part B of the pasuk, which describes the akrava, is talking about a tam, which that cannot be sold. Mosef Rav Misharshir, comes another kasha on Rav Nachman who says that a bechor tam, bizman beis hamikdash, cannot be sold. We have a story about a kehenes, a woman from a Kohen family, whose son will be a Kohen as well, Problem is, she gave birth together with her maidservant in the same, hospital room, and the children got mixed up. So one of them is the boss, the kohen, and one is the slave, who's owned by that kohen. Okay, the boss inherited the Eved. Now he's the boss. So who's the boss and who's the slave? Kohenesh is arva vlada. Kohenesh, who's newborn baby, got mixed up with Latshevchasa, with the baby of her maidservant. Now they grew up. Higdula taroivos, the group became adults. One is the boss, one is the servant. Meshachririn zeh. So each one issues a release document to the other fellow. So either way, whoever the slave was is now free. Now before they do this mutual release, they can both eat truma. The kohen for sure, and so could the eved of a kohen. He's not entitled to collect his own portion, but he can eat truma on account of his boss. So they go to the granary together, they'll be given one portion on account of both. You don't give one without the other, because you're not meant to give the eved without the boss. So if they're both standing together, they get one portion on account of both. Now comes the pivotal point of this brisa, which pertains to our discussion today. B'chayran. Suppose in their farm they discover a newborn kosher animal. Now, if it's owned by a kohen, he keeps it. So if in fact this farmer is really a kohen, he need not pass it on. But if he's not a kohen, he has to pass it on. So what do? They don't have to pass it on. Yirachi yistavu. You let the b'char pasture until it gets a blemish. Right? So these b'charim will be allowed to get blemished. And the owners will eat them once they get a mum. And no kohen can come along and claim it, because we apply the standard rule of amoitze mechavera. If you want to extract money from somebody, you got to prove your case. He can claim he's a kohen. Each one of these two can claim he's a kohen. Let's analyze the brisa further. It sounds like it's something unique to a case of a mix-up. They can hold on to it pending a blemish. But Maya Skinner, what are we talking? Ilim Mizmanaz nowadays, we all have to wait for a blemish. There's nothing unique about this case here, which needs a blemish. We all do. No other recourse for a bachar today. You have to wait for a blemish. Ma'ishna dedan, ma'ishna do. What's the difference if it's ours or theirs? Dedan nami mum binan. By us too. Every bachar needs a mum to proceed. Elulav is much Beis Hamikdash kain. Apparently, the brisa is addressing when there was a Beis Hamikdash standing. Where a regular farmer has to give his bachar to the kohen and process it as a bachar tam, as a carbon, and these fellows don't. They hold on to it pending the arrival of a blemish. Now, the question is like this: How do they have a right to hold on to these bachar? Okay, so they discovered a newborn bachar in their farm. He's unblemished. There's a Beis Hamikdash standing. It's really meant for transferring to a kohen to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash as a carbon. Why are they holding on to it? What right do they have to retain, to hold back this bachar? I understand they're claiming maybe they're a, but the treasurer, the sheriff of the Hagdash, should come and collect it. If in general we say that a kohen is considered like an owner, he has possession of a bachar tam during the bachar's lifetime, even when there was a Beis Hamikdash, it's considered the possession of the kohen. So now these two fellows can claim possible ownership on this bachar, and they can hold on to it. Maybe I'm a kohen, so I have a right to it. It's my possession. So on account of that uncertainty, on account of that possibility, you can't grab it from him. Eli Amrs Leslie, but according to you, Rav Nachman, that a kohen never has true ownership on a bachar tam. So in this case, we have a bachar tam sitting. They're claiming possible ownership. Well, guess what? You don't have ownership anyways. It's a karban. Leisi gizber v'lishkala. Let the gizber come along and grab it from him. I got to bring it as a carbon. I got to fulfill the destiny of this animal. So it would seem that this is a kasha of Nachman, who says that in fact a kohen doesn't really have true ownership on a mechar tam. If that's the case, let the gizber grab it away from them. It belongs in the Beis HaMikdash. The answer is La'ilam Bizmanaseh. Certainly we're speaking nowadays, so this whole kasha is not relevant. It's not meant for a carbon. Now, as to your question, why are we highlighting a case of a mix-up to bring out the point that you have to wait for a moment? Everybody nowadays has to wait for such. You're right. Regarding your question, what's the difference if it's ours or theirs? You're right. There's just a slight technical, procedural difference. We all have to wait for a mum, but if it's mine, a regular farmer, I got to give it to the kohen regardless. He'll wait for a mum, but I have to first give it to him. It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to him. But they can hold on to their b'chor pending a mum. Anan us yavina and leila kohen. We have to give it to the kohen to have it and eat it when it gets a mum. Inu, but this mix-up, this group, inu kivan the ikka will mix as kohen. Since they have an element of kohen, there's a possible kohen there, right? Each one can claim he's the kohen. Mafkulim, so then he extracts it from the kohanim's reach, meaning they have a right to hold on to it and retain it. Lishnachrin, there was a slightly different version, very similar, slightly different version of this discussion. So again, we have the story of the mix-up here. The two fellows are not sure who they are, and the halach is they hold on to their b'chor pending a mum. So the question was, what are we talking? What's this case addressing? Bezman hazeh nowadays, my area b'chor is dalin sfeikus. Why resort to a case of animals belonging to these people who are not sure? Afilu didanam yiru. Even a regular b'chor from a regular farmer has to wait for a mum. There's nothing else to do nowadays. Apparently we're speaking there's a Beis HaMikdash standing. Okay, now what's the condition of this b'chor? If he's already blemished, why does the halacha say they have to wait until it gets a blemish? It's already blemished. You have to wait until it gets a blemish. It's already with a mum. Apparently it's an unblemished animal. So, okay, so the question is, and there's a gersif, look at the Bach here. So, yeah, they can't sell it, right? The Brisa speaks about them holding on to it and waiting for them. Apparently they can't sell it. Reason being that since one of them is not a b'chor, so for him to go and sell it, it's degrading. You see, let's just finish the kash. They can't sell hav kohanim vadoin mizabnin, but a regular kohen, person who's positively identified as a kohen, he has a b'chor tam, even bizman Beis HaMikdash, he can actually sell. He has the right to sell. That's a kasha of Nachman. Now, why would these Safek Kohanim not be able to sell if a regular Kohen could? And first, we'll explain because when you're a real Kohen and you can actually consume this b'chor or bring it as a carbon, etc. So when you're selling it, what you're really doing it is delegating. Instead of me tending to the carbon, you take care of it. It's not really like a sale. It's not degrading, but when for some reason I can't access this b'chor because I'm not sure as to whether I'm a kohen, so when I sell it, it's like just doing business. It's like merchandise that I'm selling. It's something which is not accessible to me, so I'm selling it to make money. So that's unbecoming. That's inappropriate. But this implies that in a regular situation, in a conventional situation, a kohen has a b'chor tam, he can sell it. It's a kasha Rav Nachman. Who says you can't? Says the Gemara, Lo'olam be'ezman hazeh. No, we're speaking nowadays when there's no hakrava option, so the whole kasha is not really a kasha. Even Rav Nachman would agree you can sell nowadays. My kashlach. So what's your question? My kashlach v'ledla namiru. Why highlight the mum requirement in the case of the mix-up Everybody today has to wait for a mum. The answer is you're right. There's just a slight difference. By us, we, if I'm a regular farmer and have an animal, a bachar, I can't just reject the kohen. I can't hold back the bachar. I have to give it to you. Because I have no element of claim on it. I'm not a kohen or a safek kohen. The law is kan safek kohen. There's no element of a possible kohen on my side, so I have to give it to the kohen. Hani is fake, but these two uncertainties, these fellows who are matchul kohen, kol chad v'chad, each fellow can, push away the kohen who comes to collect, because he says, look, maybe I'm the kohen. Kol chad v'chad. Because each one can say, Amar the kohen can tell the kohen, I'm not kohen, I'm not kohen, I'm a kohen, no, I'm a kohen. So they hold on to it. So that's the only difference. Ultimately, they retain their bachar. But in terms of the mum requirement, you're right. It applies equally to all. Okay? So again, Rav Nachman teaches that a bachar tam is meant Beis HaMikdash, although it goes to the kohen, but it's primarily a korban, in which case it's not something that he can sell. It's not his to sell. Maybe comes another kasha on Rav Nachman. He's not really truly an owner. So let's shift over to Ir HaNidachas, a condemned city, due to the fact that most of the residents serve an idol. So you go and destroy everything in the city, their animals, their belongings, only if it's their personal possessions, not if it's heavenly possessions. If it's karbanos, that's exempted. So the pasuk says, Reb Shimon Omer, Behemta, destroy its animal, right? Its private animals. As opposed to Bachar Masa, which is in the city. We don't destroy it with the rest of the city. It's exempt. Furthermore, shlallah, it's loot, it's possessions, it's privately owned items, prat l'kasem masasheni shba, as opposed to masasheni money, which isn't shlallah, it's Hashem's belongings. So we need two psukim, one to exempt shlal shamayim, and one to exempt the behema b'char mas. But my asking again, what's the context here? What's the historical context? Was there a Mikdash standing? In which case the Bechor is meant for Akrava? Is it nowadays? Ilam B'zman Hazeh, is it nowadays? And the whole thing is not relevant. There's no Ir HaNidachas nowadays. We don't have the grand, Sanhedrin in session, which is a prerequisite for Ir HaNidachas. Nidachas can only be generated through the Bezdin, the Grand Supreme Court of 71 Dayanim, which you don't have today. So that's out. Must be there's a Mikdash standing. Okay, and the Sanhedrin, which would theoretically facilitate the Ir HaNidachas procedure. Okay, now let's go back to the Bechor. In what condition is he? Blemished, unblemished. Is he blemished? So now it's meant for private consumption. It's like any other behemoth. Why is it exempt from destruction? Must be unblemished. Slated for Hakrova. So the question is, why do we need a new pasuk to exempt it from destruction? It's really included in the next exemption. Shlallah, its possessions, as opposed to heavenly possessions. It's a heavenly possession, it's a carbon. Lamali mibehema. Mibehemta, why do we need a special pasuk to exempt it from destruction? Typically, sorry. Let's go back. So if in fact the kohen is considered the owner of this animal, I understand why we need a special pasuk to exempt it. You would think it's a private possession, it's privately owned matter. No, since there's an element of heavenliness to it, so it's exempt as well. But really, it cannot be exempted straightforward from the pasuk shlallah, which exempts heavenly material. It's not purely heavenly because the kohen is deemed the owner, so it has an element of private possession. So you need a special pasuk for that, right? We're trying to figure out, why do we need a special pasuk? That's why you need a special pasuk, because it's technically privately owned. Despite that, it's exempt. Eli Amos Leslie, but if you're going to tell me according to Rav Nachman that the kohen is not really an owner, he can't sell it, it's not really. So why do we need a special exemption? It's heavenly material. It's covered under the shlallah. V'lo shlal shamayim exemption. Lamli v'behemta tevik le mishlallah v'lo shlal shamayim. It's out on account of that pasuk. We have behemta to exempt bechor, no destruction. We have shlallah to exempt heavenly material. If you can't sell a Bechor Tam, it's heavenly material. Why do we need a new pasuk to exempt it? Lo'ilam Balmum, certainly we're speaking about a blemished Bechor. So it's not technically heavenly material. He can just check that in his backyard, it's private. So then the question is the other way around, so why is he exempt? As to your difficulty, so it's really covered in behemta, it's private possession, it should be destroyed. The answer is there's some slight difference between this possession and the rest of his possessions. Because the fact is, he can't really treat it completely like his own possession. You can eat it the way you want. There are certain guidelines and there are certain limitations. You've got to follow a certain system. So it's not totally and completely yours. Any animal which is eaten like any other animal that you own, that's included in destruction. As opposed to these two, it's not considered. You don't have the same access and rights, consumption rights as the regular animal. It's not as we learned in the Mishnah. You can't sell it on the market. There are all kinds of limitations. So on account of those elements, it gives it an element of heavenliness, in which case it's exempt from destruction. The Snan, as we have a Mishnah, Kol Psulam, Mikdashim, all ordinary carbonites which are blemished and unsuitable. You can sell them and shech them out in the market, weigh it on the scale. Except for these two, because here the only one who benefits from the greater return, the ability to sell in the market, which generates a greater income, is the owner, the bechor. It's not something that's going to benefit hegdish or the carbon. So he's not allowed to do that. So you see there are certain limitations, and that grants it special exemption, spares it from destruction in Ir Nidachas. So we thought we had a kasha on Rav Nachman, and it was resolved again. Meisvei comes another kasha on Rav Nachman. It teaches that Bechor Tam is Mabis HaMikdash, although it's given to the Kohen, it's not deemed his personal possession. Meisvei comes a kasha. Umala Mal Bashem. So we shift to a new topic altogether. A person denies a monetary claim and he swears falsely, and it comes back and admits. He's got to add a chaimish, the fifth, he brings a special carbon. Now, it applies primarily to personal money, private possessions. But if it's heavenly material, that's not considered kichesh ba'amita. It's not interpersonal. It's heavenly owned material. It's heavenly claims. It's not personal claims. But the pasuk does add the word Lashem. Meisvei umala mal bashem. He'll deviate. He'll deny. Regarding something that relates to Bahashem, even though there is an ingredient of Bahashem within this claim, what are we coming to cover? Something which is somewhere in the middle. It's not completely private, not completely, holy. There's a personal element within it. L'Rabbi's Kachim Kalam. Shehein Maman Bailam. According to Risek Lili, it covers carbonis of a lower tier. Kachim Kalam. Like a bachar, like a shlamim. It's considered Maman Bailam. Different than the higher level carbonis, like an oila, which is kachak kadashim, where there is me'ila, where it's considered totally given away. Kachim kalam has an element of a personal ownership within it. It's still somewhat yours. That's according to Rabbi Levi. But Nazi Omer, he says, I want to, clarify. L'Rabbi Shlamim. It doesn't cover the whole category of kachim kalam. For instance, master behema. It doesn't cover that because master behema only can't really sell, so it's not really considered his possession. So it's going to add a shlomim, but not master. Okay, so bechor, yeah, but not shlom, not master. Abba Yossi ben Doisai Omer, he says lo Yomer ben Azai el b'bechor bilvat. He says, I want to clarify. Ben Azai never said to cover the shlamim, include the shlamim. Shlamim has stringencies that a bechor doesn't have. It has smicha, has all kinds of add-ons that a bechor doesn't have. A bechor is a more basic variation of kacham kalam, and only that is covered by the halacha of ma'ala mal b'Hashem, of the the chaimish, and what we talked about before. So only the bechor b'vad. Now, having said that, let's explore at which juncture in history we're talking about. Migdash, no Migdash. Ma'askina. Ilim b'manazeh, we're speaking nowadays. Well, the fact that the Brisa mentioned shlamim in the same breath, apparently we're speaking when there's a Migdash. Because nowadays nobody designates shlamim, it's not relevant. Ha'dumi the shlamim tani, it's comparable to the shlamim. Elapshita, so must be bizman shebeis ha'migdash kayim. There is a beis ha'migdash standing. Fine. Done. Now, what's the condition of the bechor? Blemished or unblemished? Are we speaking that the bechor is blemished? Again, unlikely. Because it's referenced together with the shlamim in the same breath. And by shlamim, it doesn't really matter. The element of ownership that the owner has within the shlamim is not contingent upon whether he's a tam or balmum. You see, unlike the bechor, as Rashi explains, you can argue that the kohen only gets the ownership, the element of ownership, once the bechor tam has been brought on the mizbeach after the akrava. Now Hashem grants, the meat to the kohen, and not before, as opposed to by a balmum, which the kohen completely owns and can shecht in his backyard. So by the bechor you have that differentiation. But when we speak about the Yisrael owning his shlamim, if he owns it, he owns it. If he owns it during its lifetime, it's irrespective of whether it's a tam or balmum. So regarding his shlamim, there's no difference. So if we mention the bechor together with the shlamim in the same breath, ha'dumid the shlamim katani, it's comparable to the shlamim where the mum factor is not a factor. Okay, so likewise, we assume that the bechor is speaking even by a bechor tam. Okay, and what does the Brisa tell us about it? Who's deemed the owner? El Batam. Apparently, speaking about a bechor tam ushmaman, and we can conclude from this is leila kohen's chibigavei, that the kohen is deemed the proper owner with respect to triggering the whole, claim denial process. It's considered private money. It's a kasha of Nachman, who says that a bechor tam during the Beis Hamikdash is not considered owned by the kohen. We turn to the base. It's not really stuck. Amar Abaye. You're right. Loi, this can be answered like this. Loi, it's not a kasha. Lo'ilam batam. Truthfully, we're speaking about a bechor tam. And there's a misunderstanding. So how do we get out of this? Here's the solution. The bechor came from outside Eretz Yisrael. There's a halacha. Then you're not meant to deliver a bechor from outside Eretz Yisrael. Ideally, you leave it there. We learned this later from Psukim, and you wait till it gets a mum and you shecht it over there. So even when there was a Beis Hamikdash standing in Eretz Yisrael, this bechor is not slated for delivery to the Beis Hamikdash. It's not intended for akrava. Oh, even Rav Nachman would agree in this case that the kohen is considered the true owner because it's not meant for akrava. For Rabbi Shimon, it's gone like Rabbi Shimon. The Amor tells us, in bo tmimim yikarva, fine if they was delivered tmimim you burn them mizbeach, but ideally not. It's not meant for akrava. So that's the case. Of course, it's considered privately owned. Rabbi Nachman was speaking of bechor tam bezman hamikdash in Eretz Yisrael, but in this case, it's not meant for akrava. Meisvei comes another kasha, which is going to result in the same answer. So we link back to our Mishnah. We had a question in terms of who can make who can generate a TEMURAH off a bechor. So the bechor is given to the kohen. Is he considered like the actual owner who can make a TEMURAH from it? Rabbi Yechim Nuri says, yeah. Meisvei, Amal Rabbi Yechim Nuri, so Rabbi Yechim turned to Rabbi Kiva. Mali, I understand, granted. Understand why a kohen can't generate a TEMURAH off the chatas v'asham. Because the kohen doesn't really have access during the lifetime of the chatas v'asham. Only gets a portion of it after the akrava. He's not considered an owner during the lifetime of the korban. B'char as opposed to a b'char, which is a different ballgame. Shezachin b'chayav, there, the kohen is completely the owner. of this live bachar. End quote. But my asking, so what are we talking about? Blemished, unblemished? Ilim balmum, a blemished bachar? Unlikely. Hadumi the chatas v'asham kamer? If he's pairing it up with the chatas v'asham, who are proper carbon is being offered as a carbon, apparently we're speaking about a complete whole carbon. Elav betam. Oh, so apparently we're speaking about an unblemished. Uktani, what does the Mishnah say? Zochen by b'chayav. The kohen is considered the true owner of this live bachar tam. Unlike Rav Nachman, who says no, he doesn't really have ownership until later. Amar Avina, ha-nami, b'bachar b'chutz l'oretz. Likewise, here we're speaking of a bachar born outside of Yisrael, which is not meant for akrava. Reb Shimoni, like Reb Shimon, who says the Amar, imbo tmimim yikarv, was brought, fine, but it's not really meant for akrava. Perhaps Reb Nachman's halacha that a bachar tam, which is suitable for akrava, is not really considered owned by the kohen with respect to selling it, with respect to, right? Perhaps it's really linked to a machlekes tanoi. We have a brisa like this. Brisa presents two shittis. We start with the Tanakam. So while the bachar is still in the farmer's, possession, the Yisrael, you can make a temurah because it says bachar, right? Once it was forwarded to the kohen, ein oisin temurah. Temurah cannot be generated at this point. He seems to echo the Tanakama. Once it gets to the kohen, temurah is not an option. Tanakama. Isn't he repeating Tanakama? Who likewise says, once it's delivered to the kohen, temurah is not an option. It must be some sort of machlekes, right? My love, we must say, the Kama meant like this. There's kohen who ois a temurah. That once the bachar reaches the hands of the kohen, the owner is out. He's out of the picture. He could have made a temurah before, but once it's delivered to the kohen, now the kohen is the new owner. The farmer is out of the picture. He can't make a temurah. The base kohen, who is a temurah? The current owner. The kohen can make the temurah. Vein bala is a temurah, but the Yisrael can no longer make a temurah. He's already detached. That's Tanakama. From Allah says, actually nobody can make a temurah at this point. Not the Yisrael, who disengaged, not the kohen, who's not really deemed owner. Alma Islay la kohen schibagabe. Apparently Tanakama disagrees, so allows the kohen to make a temurah, considers him the true owner of a bachar tam, unlike Rav Nachman, who will hold like the second sheet. So is that so? At this question is machlekes tanaim. No, you don't have to say that. Beplukta, Rabbi Yechim Nuri, Rabbi Akiva, the Masisen Kamiflaki. The machlekes relates to the case of a bachar from Chutz La'aretz, like we said before, exactly in line with the machlekes we had in the Mishnah, which just discussed between Rabbi Yechim Nuri and Rabbi Akiva. What happens in that case of bachar Chutz La'aretz? Rabbi Yechim Nuri holds that you can still make a temurah, even though it's a bachar tam, precisely because it's not meant for akrava, it's a bachar tzchut la'aretz. And Rakiva says, no, a bachar is a bachar, and the fact is that it has potential for akrava. And he says it's not really considered owned by the kohen, you can't make a temurah, which is what we just explained in the machlekes back in the Mishnah. So this brisa echoes that machlekes. So again, a standard bachar meant for real hakrava. Of course, the kohen is not the owner. Of course, he can't make a temurah with it. He can't sell it. He can't, right? Like Rav Nachman, we're talking about a bachar chutz la'aretz, and that's an interesting question. Since it's not really meant for hakrava, is it considered still like a carbon, or is it considered like its private possession regarding all these matters? Okay, so bottom line, We have a gewaltige chiddush from Rav Nachman. A bechor is meant to be given to a kohen. True. Is the kohen the owner? Regarding TEMURAH, regarding selling, regarding me'il, regarding the chaymesh, right? Says Rav Nachman, if it's a bechor ba'mum, yeah. And if it's nowadays, yes. But if it's bisman beis hamikdash, and it's a bechor tam, it's meant to be akrava, the kohen is not really considered the owner. He only gets, from the mizbeach, as a gift from Hashem's table, so to speak. It's only going to happen after the akrava. Amar Rav Chiz. Okay, let's go back to that Mishnah we had about selling a bechor. Mishnah says that you can sell a bechor tam chai, b'mum chai v'shachet. So whatever the context of the Mishnah is, depending on your approach, or Nachman or the others, but bottom line is there is a selling option. The question is, who's the customer? When do we allow a kohen to sell a bechor in its unblemished state? Ela kohen lekohen, only if he forwards it to another kohen. Av kohen l'Yisrael also. We can't sell to Yisrael. Why? My time. Why? Dilma azal Yisrael v'shadi be'muma. Maybe Yisrael will take this unblemished bechor and clip its ear, blemish it. We'll want to the Chacham. I'll bring it to the Chacham, to the Rav, and he'll misrepresent what happened. He'll say, "Oh, yeah, that's how I got it from the kohen." He'll tell the Rav, "Bechor zeh nasan li kohen b'mum." The kohen gave me the bechor with the mum intact. So the truth is that the Chachamim never trusted the kohen himself. So Rashi explains, what are you gaining? So you're saying you can't sell to Yisrael, you can sell to a kohen. What's the difference? What's the gain? He says because if you sell to a kohen, the kohen customer will not be trusted. They don't trust kohen. Unfortunately, they had a track record, some of them, to actually inflict blemishes on their animals, to spare them of the, trouble of raising the bechorim. They're not, expert farmers. They didn't have interest in. So they would tend to be a little lax on this. They would take the liberty to blemish their. So if the kohen is in possession, he's not going to get away with it unless he can bring, documentation, aid them that the mum happened, by accident, happened naturally. So that's why there's no risk in selling the bechor to another kohen, because he'll have to document, he'll have to confirm that the mum happened naturally. But if you sell to Yisrael was trusted. Yisrael was not suspected of falsifying with respect to the mum situation. So now the Yisrael can just take the liberty, clip the ear, and run to the Rav and pretend that it was sold to him that way. So you should avoid that. Umishari Chacham Hachi asked the Gemara, but he wouldn't get away with it. The Chacham would never give him a certification. There's another halach which circumvents that. Rav teaches us, Ein roing b'chor l'Yisrael, amkein kohen imay. You would never submit to an examination of a bechor in the hands of Yisrael unless there's a kohen standing with him. The kohen who's giving him the bechor. Why? Because otherwise every farmer will just take his firstborn animal, say, okay, clip, take it to the Rav and say, oh, I got it from the kohen and it's I bought it from the kohen and it's mine. So in order to avoid that, we require the Yisrael to come to the Rav with the kohen to testify, look, he sold it to me, and so then he'll be there to corroborate, to confirm whether or not he gave it to him with a mum, or maybe the Yisrael did it, right? So we'll confirm all the facts. So what's the concern? So why can't the kohen sell his bechor to Yisrael? I'll tell you why. I know time. The reason why you should avoid selling to Yisrael, because it appears that the kohen is tipping him to encourage him to give him the next bechor down the road. Concerned that he might give him a steep discount, so that it's like a kickback. So next time we'll give him a bechor, and that's inappropriate. The kohen should not be soliciting his matanos. It's not respectful. The kohen is meant to get his matanos that are covered in full honor, right? As deserving for Hashem's people. The kohen is not meant to be wheeling and dealing to facilitate receipt of solicitations. Amar with the time of the Yisrael lost. The reason why I can't sell to Yisrael nation nirek kohen hamis sayeves hagronis. It appears like the kohen is. He looks like the fellow that's coming to help out in the granary. Give him a hand, so that the Yisrael gives him the truma in exchange for his work. In fact, there was a story. Mazutro Ikla, he visited the house of Rav Ashi. Amrulay, they said, "Come, let's have a meal. Litay mar midi, come have something to eat." Isaac Lamei, so they offered him some meat. Amaleni told the guest, Leichel Mar, eat it. This is like a bachar. This is a good quality meat. The mivri, from the brucher, it's healthy, it's good. It's coming from a bachar. A bachar? What are you doing with a bachar? You're not a kohen. According to my last check. How do you get a bachar? Amalei, they said, we got it from a kohen. Zavalon, plain kohen. This and this kohen sold it to us. Amalei says, you're allowed to buy bachar from a kohen? Don't you agree to Hamar? Yisrael's not meant to buy from a kohen. It looks like he's, paying him off. Amalei, they said, no, we're not concerned with that, because we bought it. We paid him full. Danan mizban kazavnina. We bought it from him. There was no gift involved. He wasn't tipping us off. Amar Lucy said, but still, don't you hold of the Mishnah that we're very concerned about this type of kickback arrangement. Atkami Yisrael chayiv l'tavel b'uchar. So the Yisrael farmer, until what point does he have to tent at the newborn kosher animal before he gives it to the kohen? There's a halacha b'dakash l'shem yom on a light animal 30 days before he gives it to the kohen to ensure its survival. B'gasach hamishim yom, a heavy animal 50 days to get it on its feet to give it. Now let's say the kohen offers to take it before that, which basically spares the farmer of all this extra work. If the kohen offers to take it before that, no, you can't give it to him. You know why? The kohen is doing the farmer a favor to facilitate the next gift. You know why? It looks like a kohen coming to help in the farm. So it's no different. You shouldn't be buying from the kohen. They told him huge difference. There it's pretty evident that he's relieving him of his duties. It's a benefit that he's giving to Yisrael, and it triggers a concern about perhaps that he's facilitating future gifts. Here we bought it. We paid for this meat. There's no concern of favoritism. There's another version of what they told him. So in that case, he's not paying for anything. The kohen, the farmer is not compensating him for. So it looks like the kohen is actually bonusing him. But here he's paying for it. We're paying for the bachar. What's the problem? What's the concern? They might give it for us at a discount. Moizel kohen gabei. So here he's paying for it. What are you concerned that the kohen will drop the price for him? Why? Because he's trying to facilitate, future gifts. The kohen is thinking, okay, you have nearly that lowering the price so that when he gets the next bachar, he'll give it to me. You know what? The kohen is not a businessman. The masagadaiti. He won't do it. The masagadaiti because the kohen is going to realize one in the hand is better than two in the bush. Look, I'm not going to forfeit this one for a possibility, for a chance that down the road I'll get more. Boitzina, there's an expression. Boitzina, a small pumpkin, for ready to go. Tav is better than mikara. From makara, that will be bigger, but it's down the road. So the kohen would not forego what he has now on account of a possibility of gaining in the future. So assumingly when he sold it to us, it was regular price. There was no gifting involved, and there was no bonusing and tipping involved, in which case, there's no concern. Come join us for the meal. Okay, so regarding a bachar, according to Rav Nachman, a bachar tam is be'emes hamikdash, is given to the kohen, but he's not really truly the owner regarding many matters, because it's meant for akrava, as opposed to bachar bezman hazeh, or bachar balmum, anytime. We came up with an interesting case, a bachar of chutz laretz, which likewise, Rav Nachman agrees, is considered totally owned by the kohen because it's not really meant for hakrava. It turned out to be a machlekes tanaim actually. Now, when a kohen does have the ability to sell, who should he sell it to? Only to a Yisrael, only to a kohen. For if he sells it to Yisrael, there's a concern about foul play. And we had a story about this. Well, they invite him to the meal, and hopefully, presumably, he accepted. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha.